Classic video games. I've always wondered if when my older brother played Ocarina of Time for the first time, any part of him knew he was playing a classic. I don't want anyone from the future to wonder, so today I'm going to try to predict which video games from the past decade will be considered classics down the line. I just want to say, I don't really adore all these games. Some of them I don't get the hype of at all, but they're on this list for their impact and legacy for the video game medium. These are the games that in 2038, some kid's uncle will be telling him he doesn't know shit about. And he probably will. Quick disclaimer, this video is entirely heavily inspired by Carson Runquist's video, Modern Films That Will Be Classics. A great video that'll be linked in the description. Got it? Alright. We all thought superhero games had peaked with Arkham, or that nobody would ever make a game better than Treyarch's SpiderMan 2, but Insomniac brought back the magic with the PS4 exclusive SpiderMan in 2018. This game came out when I was a junior in high school, and going to school after playing it for the first time was torture. If I wasn't playing it, I wanted to be. The web slinging is completely addicting, the story is emotional, and the combat is tons of fun. Insomniac truly got everything it needed to right to make you feel like you had the exaggerated swagger of a broke millennial nerd. Its sequels may have improved on certain aspects of gameplay and traversal, but as a full package, I still think Spider-Man PS4 is the strongest superhero game we've got since 2018. I know, right? As far as Among Us has fallen from its peak, this game will undoubtedly be fondly remembered, not just by the kids that are playing it now, but by everyone that was playing during quarantine. What better way to spend a period where relationships are most important than gaslighting your friends and perfecting the art of deception? In 2020, it felt like literally everyone was playing this game. There was a night during my freshman year of college in 2020 where I played Among Us with 6 girls in a college dorm, 5 of which had never touched a video game in their lives. It was just like that. I'd also be lying if I said I haven't played since then. There have definitely been some random nights where the VC feels like temporarily ruining our friendships and arguing over and over and over and over and over. Among Us is going to be iconic for a very long time. When you're launching a new console, you want to make sure your launch games are good enough to set a precedent for what people can expect from that console. With The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo released their best game of the generation on the day the Switch launched. I've been sitting here for far too long trying to figure out what to say about this game, but all I can really muster up is that this is undoubtedly one of the best games of all time, and if you haven't played it, you need to. It's car soccer, dude. I don't know what to tell you. This isn't the critical masterpiece that Breath of the Wild is, but this is just a golden concept in general. It's so easy to understand and to pick up, but it has enough depth to take a long time to master and for Rocket League to still be thriving a decade later. Rocket League was super underrated for its contributions to esports, being probably the most popular non-shooter competitive game out there. Watching it at an event or on a live stream at a top level sometimes feels like a real sport. Weirdly enough, this is one of the only games where playing with a friend or friends, to me, actually kind of feels like playing a real sport on a team. The highs are high and the lows are really embarrassing, but I know that no matter how long I don't play Rocket League, I'll always come back. You had to know this game would be on the list. Everyone knows Fortnite, everyone's played Fortnite. Even if you hate it today, at some point you played Fortnite. These days I only play Fortnite Festival, but in its prime, Fortnite was my generation's Halo 3. That winter break going into 2018 when everyone was posting their victory royales on Snapchat will forever be etched in my and millions of other people's minds. Aside from it just being unique and fun when Battle Royale first sprung up, this is the game that popularized a lot of the trends in the gaming industry that have stuck over the last decade. Free to play, battle passes, huge crossovers, etc, etc. Fortnite may not have been the first to do all these things, but after its success, every game was following in Fortnite's footsteps, for better or for worse. God of War was the reintroduction to the franchise, and it was done incredibly well. Everyone who played it when it came out immediately cast their vote for Game of the Year, and it didn't disappoint at that year's Game Awards. Evolving Kratos in the way they did with this entry could have been really bad, but Santa Monica Studios found a way to make Kratos of all people more relatable, and change from previously being a one-note character. Also, the change from Greek to Norse mythology was done really well, and obviously it was necessary, but it never felt like it didn't hit the same, because sometimes it hits way harder. The sequel 4 years later was probably just as good, but to me this one stands out as a defining game in its console generation, and a true classic going forward.
I will travel across the land.
If you're a kid or teen now, you probably hear people older than you talk about the mythical 2016. The air was more crisp, the grass was greener, and the birds chirped just a little nicer. One of the many things people liked about 2016 was Pokemon Go. It felt like everyone was playing this game, and it was honestly beautiful. I'm not sure there'll be another game that captures not just gamers, but anyone with a phone in the way that Pokemon Go did in 2016. There were viral songs, viral pranks. Dragonite!
I think there's someone hanging right there.
This was really the reintroduction of Pokemon into the mainstream after a long period of it being in a decline, and I'm really glad it happened. What Bloodborne really has in the Souls games, in my opinion, is the combat. Because you recover lost health from attacking enemies, you're rewarded for aggression rather than just sitting back. And for that reason, and many other reasons, a lot of people prefer Bloodborne over any other From Software game. The only negative thing I can say about Bloodborne is that there's no official PC or PS5 port. You've heard it a million times. Seeing as how the PS5 has been the remaster console, it is a little strange that one of the most iconic games of the 2010s hasn't sniffed a remaster or a port. 30 FPS. Take it or leave it. It does suck, but honestly, I think it adds a lot to Bloodborne's mystique, as stupid as that sounds. This is yet another game that, like Among Us, was really propped up by lockdown. It came out right as it was really settling in that we'd be inside for a while, but New Horizons was such a good distraction from all that. This is an entry that maybe Animal Crossing fans don't like as much as the other games, but I've personally never heard anyone talk down on it. Compared to a lot of the other games I play, this one is very zen. At the time, it felt like a slice of life filler episode while I was in between games. With all that was going on in the world at the time, it was refreshing to distract myself with super mundane tasks like bug collecting or farming. I really don't believe this is one of the best games of all time, but because of when it came out, it'll always be remembered as a classic. It Takes Two was the game of the year in 2021, and it was well deserved. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this, but this is exactly what I believe a Pixar video game would be like. You're a couple with a young kid trying to fix a broken marriage while you're transformed into little dolls. The gameplay itself is really fun, especially when you're playing with the right person. This is like the best game to play as a couple. Maybe A Way Out is better depending on what kind of couple you are. But I'll always recommend this for couples, or, you know, if you want to play with one of the homies, it's fine too. One of the oldest games on this list, The Witcher 3 came out at a time when the industry was first starting to experience open world fatigue. Good thing The Witcher 3 didn't phone it in, because this is one of the best open worlds of its time. The game knows this and really wants you to explore it. Everyone always talks about the side quests in The Witcher 3, and I will say all of the side quests in this game are incredible. The choices you make in them felt like you had a real impact, so much that you'd find yourself wishing they were part of the main story. Or at least I did. Only a handful of games are able to make you care as much as every corner of this game does. Honestly, I really don't care for Undertale, but even my stubbornness can't outweigh its cultural impact. A solo developer, Toby Fox, made Undertale in what's probably the most successful Kickstarter campaign for a video game ever. I personally don't see the appeal in the game, but this is a game that was so popular that MatPat, yes, Matthew Patrick, the game theorist, gifted Pope Francis a copy in 2016. It doesn't matter how I feel about it, the cult following that Undertale has, as well as its contribution to memes and indie game lore/theory culture, means that Undertale is a certified classic. This is probably one of the last multiplayer games that became as successful as it did with a completely original IP. Critics and players showered Overwatch with praise, and it became the only online multiplayer game ever to win Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Less prestigious, but also if it wasn't CSGO surfing, Overwatch was the background game for all the problematic commentary YouTubers in 2016. You really can't talk about 2010's multiplayer games without mentioning Overwatch. And even if the sequel fumbled, its impact is still felt in the 2020s. Oh, also that. I'm not really a platformer guy, but with a game like Celeste, you kinda have to change your mind. Celeste is a smooth, responsive, and difficult game about climbing a mountain. But really, it's an important and meaningful story that's backed by one of the best soundtracks from a 2018 game, and that's saying a lot. Celeste is not a game for everyone. I'm not sure how many of my subscribers play or enjoy platformers, but aside from its genre, it's also pretty difficult. Playing through the game will feel rewarding in more ways than one, and I can't recommend it enough. Of all the games I mentioned in this video, this is probably the game that's most deserving of the what is there to say that hasn't already been said. I agree with this. But I'm still gonna tell you that there hasn't been a game since Red Dead 2 that's had me so fully immersed in its world in the same way. Anyways.
I'm dead ass crying right now. I'm crying real tears right now, bro. Ain't no way. Word to my mother, this is the best game I've ever played, bro. This is word to my mother. This is the best.
This game makes all of us feel and introduce one of my favorite protagonists in fiction, I guess. I talk to my cat to this day, Pablo, in Arthur's voice all the time unconsciously. So yeah, this game lives pretty deep in my head. Yeah! No sequel since The Last Jedi divided fans quite like The Last of Us Part 2, but as divisive as TLU 2 was when it came out, I can't be convinced that it was a bad game. Like everybody else that played the first game, after I played #that mission, I was a mess. I had to take a few days break before getting back into it. Every aspect of this game, from the acting to the gameplay and the graphics, was insanely good. Narratively, it took AAA storytelling into pretty unfamiliar territory, and mechanically it refined and perfected every system Naughty Dog had been working on since Uncharted 2. The Last of Us Part 2 just forces you to marinate in the uncomfortable. It's not always fun in an emotional sense, but it's never boring, and that, along with how polarizing this game still is, makes it a classic. Elden Ring is just something else. Every streamer who plays this game for the first time on stream changes forever. As far as I can remember, this is the most mainstream any of the From Software games went, and I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. In fact, it kind of goes to show you how good the game really is. There are people playing and loving Elden Ring that never played a Souls game or any Souls-like before. I think there's just something refreshing about a game not insulting your intelligence, and that really resonated with a lot of people. I was one of those people. I just had to figure it out, and each time I did, it hit harder than most other experiences in most other video games. Long story short, From Software. Baldurs Gate 3 for me came completely out of nowhere. Never did I think a top-down 3D turn-based CRPG would achieve what this game did. At its peak, Baldurs Gate 3 had almost 900,000 players on Steam, and right now, at the moment I'm making this at 2:47 in the morning on a weekday, it has 71,000 players. So how or why does this game stand out so much? I think it's because it has a freedom unlike the vast majority of other games. The choices you make actually make way more of an impact than any game that claims to be choice-based. And if that was it, it would be fine, but the writing in this game is amazing no matter which route you take. Pair that with a cast of characters played by actors who were nominated or won for their performances, and you have all the makings of a classic. But because of the different character builds and narrative consequences of the choices you make, each playthrough can be extremely different and classic in its own way. Okay, this list was very hard to make. I tried my best to keep it objective for most of it, but there are some obvious personal entries on here. Either way, I think it'd be hard for many to argue against almost all the entries here. If you hard disagree with me or think I put too many multiplayer games or too many dog with a propeller hat type games on this list, please comment and tell me what your list is. If you haven't played these games, I think all of them are worth a shot, and a good amount of them are in the PlayStation Plus or Game Pass catalog, so give them a try. Anyways, that's it. Bye!